a difficult conference schedule, and so far for first conference games, you guys have seen firsthand just how tough this conference is.
Well, I said it early on. There's a tremendous amount of parity, I think, between the top four teams in this conference, and certainly we've seen that. You know, we played Azusa, played Western Oregon, played them both right to the end. 3 of our 4 games have been decided on the final possession. So, and we kind of had an idea that that would be the case going in. We knew offensively with the returners we had, we should be strong, should we be able to stay healthy. That's been a challenge for us, and defensively almost a complete and total makeover. But bottom line is we're 2 possessions from being undefeated, you know, but in those 2 games we were unable to get it done on that final possession, and so we sit here 2-2. But we will bounce back. It was a disappointing loss. Disappointed with how our defense played for the first, you know, half plus of football. We're better than that, but we are young and making mistakes, and mistakes can build and cost you, and they have. But our defense from the 8-minute mark of the third quarter, you know, kept them off the board, gave the offense a chance to get back in the game, and the offense did that. And like I said, we got 4 shots at the end zone at the end there, and got to convert on 1 we did not, but still proud of that comeback.
You talk about the defense, but overall, are injuries impacting you guys?
Well, they are. Again, we've been without John Todd the last 2 weeks, without Chase Crevichet against Simon Frazier. We'll be out without him again this week. You know, so it does change. The receiver was not a deep position to begin with, and when you lose 2 of your 3 starters, it's required us to take a backup running back, move him to receiver. That thins out the running back position. It's kind of the domino effect a little bit. But again, no one's going to feel sorry for us. That is what all teams go through. There's adversity that a season presents, and we're certainly hit with that. The good news is we'll get John Todd back. We hope to have him back for the Central game next week. We'll see. Chase Crevichet will get an MRI next week to kind of identify the extent of his injury. But as you know, as the season moves on, others have to step up, and we will. So we just got to play good team football, and that's something we've yet to do. We've yet to put a complete game together. Again, and I think, and I know we're capable of that. Our players are disappointed sitting at 2-2 after 4 games, certainly. But the positive side, like I said, with a young defense, we're just 2 possessions away from being undefeated, and had the ball in our hands against Azusa Pacific 2 weeks ago. Certainly had the ball in our hands Saturday night against Western Oregon. You know, and if we're able to convert in that situation, as we had converted the number of times earlier in the game that allowed us to be in that situation, then we're sitting here with a completely different feeling. But again, we're disappointed, but we will regroup. A tough task this week, going back to Nebraska to play Chadron State, a program with great tradition, you know, success. Danny Woodhead, Don Beebe, you know, two players that people might be familiar with through their success in the NFL. Chadron State graduates. So, you know, the best medicine for a disappointing defeat and all that is to get back on the field on Saturday and get that good feeling back that comes through winning.
Yeah, before I ask about this week, you guys last year were playing usually with the lead, and now having to play from behind, and to be 1-2 in conference. How do you keep, not only for the seniors but other players, kind of upbeat? You know, saying that it's still early in the conference season. You're going to learn from this, but what do you tell the guys to kind of keep them upbeat?
Well, there's a lot of football left, and who knows what's going to happen within this conference. All we can worry about is ourselves and our preparation, and ultimately our performance. And you know, we've got a lot of young players that are playing, you know, probably before they're ready on the defensive side primarily. But again, you hope, and we're seeing improvement on that. But it gets down to some fundamental things. We've got to tackle better. We've got to play better team defense. We've got a lot of guys that are trying to do everything, and you can't play that way. And there's no excuse when a running back runs hard to the left and then stops, cuts back, goes all the way around to the right side for a long gain or a touchdown. We've had that happen, and that's just young players that they get out of position, take poor pursuit angles, whatever it might be. But like I said, we're certainly disappointed. but we also know how close we are, and certainly these games and the two losses, signify that. There's a very fine line between winning and losing right now, and we saw that in game one versus Carson Newman, where tie ball game, and we have the ball and are able to convert on that possession to get the win. We saw that against Azusa Pacific, and then against Saturday night against Western Oregon, where again we have the ball with a chance to get the win, and those two times we're unable to make that final play that you need to make. We made so many plays, and a lot of focus is on the quarterback and Robert Weber and not being able to make that final play, but we're not in that position if not for Robert Weber. He played tremendously and set a school record for completions, a conference record for total yards, and I think we converted 3 or 4 third downs and 2 fourth downs on that final possession, which started on the 3 or 4 yard line. And I think we had about 120 yards of offense on that possession because there were penalties along the way that as we got a big game would set us back. But time and time again, Robert and the other offensive players, Chase Crevichet, with just an unbelievably gutty performance, I thought, put us in position at the end to have that shot. And disappointed that we couldn't make that one final play, but I think it says a lot about the character of those young men and the character of our football team that down 27 in the third quarter, we're able to come back and be in that position.
Probably tough to compare, but all your coaching, that duo of Gardner and then also Weber in your coaching career, if you're coached talented-wise, a better combo than that?
They're pretty good. They really are. And probably not. I mean, when you get Robert Weber, Jaquan Gardner, and Chase Crevichet, again, the game he had Saturday night, playing with a tremendous amount of pain that from that hip injury, but 12 receptions and big play after big play. It's fun to coach kids like that. And I'll tell you what, that last drive we had that started on the 3 or 4 yard line, that was fun. I told my daughter the next day, talking to her on the phone, that was a lot of fun, right up until the end. And that's just the air went out of the balloon type of thing. But to be in that situation, to call in the plays and see the players executing those plays and then just making things happen themselves. Robert scrambling for a first down on 4th and 5, and those type of things. Something good will come out of that. And maybe we didn't see that Saturday night in the form of a win, but something very, very positive will come out of what this team was able to do Saturday night when we dug ourselves a big hole, down 23-0 very early on, and then down 27 midway through the third. To come back from that, again, I think speaks to the character of our players, their will, their commitment, and again, something good is going to come out of that. We may not see that this week or next year, even this year, or this week. But I'll tell you what, I'm proud of what these kids did.
You guys are 2-0 on the road this season. 2 games that you've scored a lot of points. Can we expect that from the offense on Saturday?
Well, again, we've got to, part of playing good team football is the offense doing what the offense needs to do. And quite frankly, last Saturday, the offense needed to score 49, and we scored 42. Okay, so you don't like to be in those games, but if you are, then that group that has the experience, is the group that you turn to and lean on. So we'll continue to do that. Chadron is a good football team that has struggled themselves. 1-3, lost a game they should not have lost. This past Saturday at Adams State, had a 91-yard punt return late in the game. This was a game that they were in complete control of really throughout. So again, that's what a football season deals you. There's going to be highs and lows, ups and downs. There's going to be adversity. There's going to be frustration. We've dealt with that. I'm sure Chadron is feeling the same way. They were up 16 at one point in that game at Adams State, and Les had lost late on a punt return. So again, we get back on the field and try to be better the next time out. But it's not an easy trip when we leave on Thursday and fly to Denver, then bus Denver up to Chadron, which is just around 5 hours from what I understand. Play in an area that we've, many of these players and have never been to before. The weather's going to be hot. It's going to be in the low 80s, it looks like. We'll be excited to get back out. I'm glad we're traveling. I think there's a positive in getting the 54 players that make up your travel squad together, for 48 hours prior to kickoff, and be able to have them and build that focus in preparation leading up to game time. But you got two football teams, ourselves and certainly Chadron State, that are both hungry for a win, and so it's going to be a good battle come Saturday.
And how much, having gone to Tennessee to start the season, I know weather was obviously a factor to now going to Nebraska, another long road trip, like you said, the heat. But how will that help you, having already experienced a trip like that?
Well, we know how to travel. So many teams at our level don't do what we do in terms of travel, but that's just part of what you sign on for when you sign on here at Humboldt State, whether it be long bus trips or now, the opportunity to travel to other parts of the country and match up against another program. And I think it's a great experience for our players to be able to travel together like we do. To be able to go to, in this case, Nebraska, earlier in the season, Tennessee, see other parts of the country, and represent Humboldt State. We take tremendous pride in doing that. So, again, this is not an abnormal week for us with the travel. We're used to that. It's what we do. These Thursday departures, Sunday returns are the norm for us. So again, we travel well, and I think our 2-0 record on the road kind of supports that. We do travel well, we prepare well when we have to travel, and I hope and expect that this would be no different.
When we talked about the Carson Newman game, there was the obvious wrinkle of their offense. Are you expecting any kind of different wrinkles compared to, say, playing another out-of-conference team?
No, again, the thing that's different is the lack of knowledge you have about both their program and their personnel, and what they want to do schematically, offensively, defensively, and in the kicking game. You play within conference, and we play teams twice in our conference. You have great knowledge, having played them before or played them even earlier that season, as is the case here in the GNAC. But now we're playing a team that we've never had to game plan for previous to this. So you watch the tapes that you have, you learn as much as you can in very short order. The advantage we had with Carson Newman was it was the opener, and we knew months in advance that was our opener, and so we had that time to prepare ourselves. Here, we didn't start focusing on Carson Newman until after the film session on Sunday, where we could put the previous game to rest and move on. And so in very short order, you have to learn as much as you can about their philosophies on offense, defense, and in the kicking game, their personnel, their strengths, their weaknesses, and everything like that. And you have to do so by watching tape and trying to gain and learn as much as you can from that tape. So, but again, they're in the same position when it comes to preparing for Humboldt State. So, yeah, both teams like I said, both teams in need of a victory. Both teams with limited knowledge on the opponent. They've been on the road for the last couple of weeks, I believe, and so they're at home, and I know they're excited for the game, and as are we. So it should be a good game.
You mentioned the defense a few minutes ago. What do you think your defense needs to do to kind of consistently find that form of, say, like the second half against Azusa, the final quarter and a half against Western?
It's really simple. Just keep playing. We just got to keep playing, and again, mistakes are going to be made, and those mistakes have been made and will continue to be made in some cases, but you hope they're reduced in number. And as these kids continue to gain experience, then I would expect performance to improve. And it's what we need to happen. But really, there's no magic to it. You just got to keep playing. You've got to get players to have a better understanding of their responsibility and get to the point where they just aren't thinking as much as they have been. And when you get to that point, you're able to then allow your abilities to take over and kind of shine. And right now, we got a lot of guys out there that have played very little football here at Humboldt State at this level. And so there's a lot of thinking going on, and it makes you hesitant at times. But we just got to keep playing. Again, I'm very confident that in our defensive coaching staff, all right, and Coach Aber, I have the utmost confidence in him and the assistant coaches, as I do in our players. Again, these players, they're hurting right now. We have very high expectations, and what a good thing that is, that we've been able to build this program to that point where, you know, we're sitting here at 2-2, and it's like the roof has fallen in, you know, and it wasn't that long ago that you know, it was a real struggle. And so again, there is some positive in this, that we do have very high expectations where we don't accept, you know, losing. It's disappointing when it happens, and we will respond, as I believe we will this week, in a very positive way, in the most positive of ways, to go out and perform well. And so we're excited to get back out there.
You mentioned the injuries to Chase, obviously him being out this week, as you said. But what, I guess, does anything change, even though you have, you know, besides Chase, I believe you said Dylan's out?
Yeah, Dylan Silvernick broke a collarbone, and so he is all so there's 3 of our top 4 receivers really are out now, and so it creates a domino effect a little bit. I mean, some backups will be thrust into more prominent roles. All right, we'll have Nick Sexton, a true freshman, starting at receiver. Got his first touchdown pass Saturday night, which really happy for him with that. But he's another one of our freshmen that now will be seeing significant minutes. Richard Doctor, a backup running back, is now going to start at receiver, replacing Chase Crevichet. Richard's a veteran player in our program, but new to the receiver position. Again, and by making that move, it tends to thin out the running back position a little bit more. And so again, you just, you know, continually find ways to try and patch those holes and get your best out there, and we will continue to work at that. Like I said, hopefully we can stay healthy this week at the receiver position, and then we do anticipate getting John Todd back. You know, and John, I think had positioned himself for an all-league type season. He's certainly got that type of talent. Losing him at the end of the Azusa game has been a blow to us, but his injury, thankfully, is one that after 3-4 weeks he should be able to come back from and get back in there. But you know, in the meantime, we've got to go out. It doesn't matter, you know, who's down or who that guy next man up is. We've got to find a way, and the expectation is that they step into that role and perform at a level that allows us to be successful.